always ready for you. All right, we're going to make a very simple, very basic pie crust. And this seems to be one of the things that people are very leery of attempting in their own kitchen or by themselves, and they'll use the store-bought ones, which frankly, the ones that you buy from the store are great. I happen to not have any, and I don't want to get out and go to the store. By the time I got there and got home, I have it done myself, and I just assumed do it this way. There are really 5 ingredients in a pie crust. And what I have in the bowl here is 1.5 cups of plain all-purpose flour. I don't think I even sifted it. I just kind of fluffed it around with a fork a little bit. And this little grater thingy, that's my microplane grater. You can use a regular cheese grater. You don't even have to grate it if you don't want to. I would. That's just one of my little tricks. And I'll tell you why. Anyway, to the 1.5 cups of flour, you want 1 stick of butter. That's 1/2 cup. And I like to grate it because what you want to do is have pieces of butter. You don't want it melted, through the whole crust. You want pieces of butter because when you put your crust in the oven, see, I'm getting down a little nib. It gets a little hard to handle. Here we go. When your crust hits the oven and it gets in the heat, the butter is going to release a lot of steam into your pie crust, and you want it to, but you want it cold, and you want it in relatively large pieces. Look, I made butter cheese. It's a sculpture. You want it in relatively large pieces because the steam escaping is going to get trapped by the flour, and that's what's going to create the layers and have it all nice and flaky for you. So all I'm doing here, real quick, I'm not going crazy, and you see, lost that piece, didn't need it. Come here and take a look at this. You see how it's turned into something relatively coarse? That's what you want, and I can still feel how cold the butter is in there. It's another reason why you might want to use a food processor instead of doing it by hand. Tablespoon of sugar, 1/2 teaspoon of salt, and that's it. And a little bit of water to put in there in a minute, and that's done. Okay. So anyway, when the heat of the oven hits the butter and the butter releases the steam, that's what creates the layers that are going to make your pie crust really nice and flaky. So at this point, all I want to do is drizzle in the water. If I could aim, I would drizzle. Let's try it again. There we go. This is 1/2 cup of water, or as I learned a minute ago, it's 2 shots. A little bit more. And all you're doing is waiting for the dough to just begin. Oh, see, it's starting to come together right there. That's what you want. And you do want to use cold water, just like what you want your butter cold. I'm actually going to sneak to the sink real quick, and I'm going to get a teaspoon more of water. There's almost enough, but not quite. Here we go. You see that? That's what you're looking for, right there. See how it wants to form a ball? Alright, I told you there'd be about 1/2 hour while it sat in the refrigerator. I don't know, it's probably been about 2 hours. It doesn't matter. You can actually make this stuff several days ahead and stick it in the fridge, and it'll wait on you. All I did was unwrap it, flour to surface, and I'm just using my hands to kind of pat it out, get it kind of flat, so I can start using the rolling pin on it. It does not matter what kind of rolling pin you use. I have a French rolling pin. That's the one that's got the tapered ends. It's a plain old American style. I grew up with this one. This is the one I'm more comfortable with. I know the French style is supposed to be more adaptable. I don't think it really matters. I think it's whatever you use. Lord, I've used water glasses at some points, as long as they were evenly spaced all the way down the cylinder. All you're doing here is rolling it out large enough to cover a pie plate. Now, for those of you who may not know, or who may want to give me a hard time when I say pie plate, it's a pie pan, or pie tin. It's the 8, 9, or 10-inch round sided container in which you bake your pie. Now, for this particular pie, let's see. I have a pie sitting here ready. In this case, this is a chicken pot pie. And you see I've gone just big enough, and that's all you have to do to measure. I've gone just big enough to cover the outside of my pie. I do want just a tad more room to play with on those two edges, and that's all I'm going to do. Now you saw me a minute ago, I just picked it up, moved it. It's not going to blow up, it's not going to self-destruct. However, if you want to, you roll it up on a rolling pin just like that. Set him here, bring your pie over, find your outside edge, and you're good. All you do at that point is pinch your way around the outside, just like that. And you see I'm not doing anything fancy. Taking my thumbs. Now if you want a slightly more decorative edge, you can take a fork and press it all the way around, or you can take one finger and your thumb and forefinger and press it like this. Really, you know what the purpose is, only other than to look pretty. You can see how you can almost see the pie plate, the edge of the pie plate through those little spots right there. You're sealing the edge of the pie crust down on the edge of the pie plate. And that is really why you crimp the edges of a pastry. It looks nice, and I always like things to look pretty. You know, we eat with our eyes first, so if something looks good and it smells good, your brain tells you it's going to taste good too. So we're all the way around the edge. Now I've got to fix where I crimped it a different way so it won't look strange. Now this particular pie, my son, who's 5, let me grab a knife, hang on. My son, who's 5, swears up and down that he doesn't like turkey, but he loves what he calls big chickens. I'm not sure how we got down that road, but we did. So one year after Thanksgiving, I came up with a quote-unquote big chicken pot pie for my son Boone. Now look here. Taking a knife, I'm kind of tucking under and going at an angle. You see how nice and smooth that goes? See how pretty? So this is my son Boonie's mile-high big chicken pot pie. Alright, I'm going to do 2 more things before I put this in the hot oven. Okay, anytime you're making a pie and you've got a crust, see that? All you're doing right there is giving whatever's inside is going to have some steam coming off. You need to give the steam somewhere to go. Now give me about 2 seconds. I'm going to beat up an egg with a little bit of water. I'll be back and I'll show you how to finish off a crust and pop it in the oven. Okay, so all I did was I cracked an egg into here. I added about a teaspoon of water. I always make a mess when I'm beating up my eggs, don't I? I end up with them all over the place. Alright, you see that? That's all you got to do. Now, when you're doing this with a crust, all you want is something on the crust that's going to help it turn golden and brown and get lovely. And an egg will do that. An egg white by itself will do that. A little bit of cream or milk. Good grief, butter would do it. You know, there's always seem to be able to find a way to stick some more butter on something. Alright, see? That's all you gotta do.